My name is Gary Campbell, and my speech to inform is going to be on the Nephilim today. How many of you that are listening today have ever heard of the word Nephilim? Of those of you who have heard of the word Nephilim, how many of you have ever studied the word Nephilim? We first find the word Nephilim in the book of Genesis in chapter 6, verses 1 to 7, and I paraphrase. The sons of God looked upon the daughters of women, found them to be fair, took them to be their wives, and their children were giants, or Nephilim. There's a very common belief. There's many beliefs out there, but the one I will use today is a very popular belief to bring to you and present to you about the Nephilim. We find in the book of Genesis where Satan has tempted Eve. Eve has fallen to this temptation. Along with Adam, they've been removed from the garden. But God comes to Satan and makes a promise to Satan and tells him that this very woman that he's tempted to falter in the garden would, through her seed, one day produce a son. And this son would be his undoing, would be the one who would destroy him, bind him, and eventually place him into eternal damnation and judgment. This, of course, according to the common popular belief that's out there today, did not set well with Satan. So Satan sets a plan in motion where he can thwart God at his plan. He's already tried once, was cast out of heaven, now he's going to try again. That's where he got the sons of God to have the relations with woman, to try to change the bloodline of humans on the earth, actually creating his own hybrid race, so to speak. And by doing so, the offsprings being giants. That was a product of the two DNAs coming together and mixing. According to this very popular belief, it would become quite rampant on the earth, and there weren't that many humans left. That's one of the things that made Noah and his family so righteous, was the fact that they were 100% pure humans at a time when most people were Nephilim that were on the face of the earth. This was what God found to be such an abomination. So, of course, we know he chose Noah and his family to save them on the flood, on the ark during the flood. But we also find that once everything on the earth is destroyed, according to popular belief, the sons of God, the angels that fell with Satan, were at that time bound and could no longer do what they did on the face of the earth prior to the flood. But we find, according to the Old Testament, that there were still Nephilim on the earth. So the question is, how did these Nephilim actually become a part of the earth after the flood? Well, according to this very popular belief, the Nephilim were on the earth after the flood through one of Noah's son's wives, or daughter-in-laws. And they actually carried within them the gene for the Nephilim within them from the time prior to the flood. Now, the rumor is that, or the belief is that the Nephilim prior to the flood were up to 36 feet in height. That's pretty tall. It's about a 2,000-pound man. But the Nephilim we find after the flood, we find where Moses killed Og, his bed supposedly was 12 and a half to 15 and a half feet long. So that's not near the 36 feet we find pre-flood, but still a formidable person. And then, of course, we know the story between David and Goliath, where it deals with the height of Goliath being greater than that of David. We find also in the biblical records where the Israelites, when they took the promised land, were promised that the land of the giants, Canaan, would be destroyed, and ultimately it was. And the last remnants of the Nephilim were indeed taken off of the face of the earth. The word Nephilim is rendered fallen, or possibly fell, or a tyrant, or a bully. So if you've ever had an opportunity before to study this, I know you enjoyed it. If you've never studied it before up till now, I suggest that you do so. A question of what the Nephilim really were should be decided on the context and evidence rather than a preconceived idea about the nature of the angels. And the unanimous position of Jewish and heathen authors prior to Philo of Alexandria is that the angels came down and sired children with women. One last thing is there's some people who will say that the angels could not have had relations with the sons of or the daughters of man or human women because angels don't interact like humans, can't be human. But yet we have in Hebrews an account where it states that the angels ate with the people they came to visit. So, I'll just leave that with you. If angels could indeed eat, they might have been able to do other things. I'm not saying that I do or do not prescribe to the popular belief I just brought forth to you. All I wanted to do was to get enough interest stirred in you where you would hopefully in the future look this up yourself and decide for yourself what you think the word Nephilim means and who the sons of God were. I hope you have a good day.